I want to tell you about a man named Gerald, 73 years old, retired school principal from Ohio. He mowed his lawn last summer. He drove himself to his daughter's wedding in September. And when he sat across from me in my office and I told him his kidneys were barely functioning, he looked at me with an expression I will never forget as long as I practice medicine. Not fear, disbelief. He said, "Dr. Anderson, how is this possible? I felt fine." And I had to look that man in the eye and tell him that his kidneys had been sending him signals for over a year. Quiet signals, ordinary feeling signals. Signals so easy to explain away that he had walked past every single one of them without a second thought. Gerald is not unusual. Gerald is, heartbreakingly, the rule. I'm Dr. Anderson, and I've spent more than 2 decades as a kidney specialist treating adults in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. Active people, careful people, people doing their best, who are still being blindsided by kidney disease because nobody ever explained what to actually watch for. Not in plain English, not in a way that felt real and actionable. That ends today. Because what I'm going to share with you right now are 3 specific indicators. 3 things your body does that you can observe yourself at home that signal your kidneys may be slowing down or beginning to stop working. And I promise you by the end of this video, you will have a clear, simple action plan you can start tonight. Before we go further, comment below and tell me where you're watching from today. I read every single one. Here is what most people don't fully appreciate about their kidneys. These 2 fist-sized organs sitting just below your ribcage filter every drop of your blood approximately 40 times every single day. They regulate your blood pressure, control your fluid balance, produce the hormone that tells your bone marrow to keep making red blood cells, and balance every electrolyte your heart depends on. Your kidneys are not a supporting character in your health story. They are central to nearly everything. And kidney disease is called the silent killer for one specific reason. In its early and middle stages, it causes almost no pain, no alarm. It erodes quietly while life continues on the outside. By the time most people feel genuinely sick, they've often already lost more than half their kidney function. The National Kidney Foundation estimates that 1 in 3 American adults over 64 has chronic kidney disease, and 90% of them have no idea. That is not meant to frighten you. That is meant to make sure you take the next few minutes seriously. Comment ready if you're with me. Let me tell you about Carol. 71 years old, retired nurse from outside Phoenix, Arizona. She had a garden she was proud of, 2 grandchildren she babysat twice a week, and she had always been the healthy one in her family. For about 9 months before she came to see me, Carol had been feeling what she described as a kind of tired I don't have a word for. Not sleepy, not worn out, just depleted, like her battery would only charge to 60% no matter how much she rested. She'd had some swelling in her ankles she blamed on the Arizona heat, and she'd noticed, almost embarrassed to mention it, that her urine had been looking foamy in the mornings, persistently foamy, for months. She hadn't told her doctor because she wasn't sure it was worth bringing up. When I ran her kidney panel, her GFR, the measure of how well her kidneys filter, was 36. Normal is above 60. She grabbed my hand across the desk and said, "I took care of sick people for 35 years. How did I miss this in myself?" I told her what I'll tell you now. You didn't fail yourself, Carol. No one ever clearly explained what to look for. That is exactly what I'm here to do. And here is the good news, because there genuinely is good news, and I need you to hear it. A 2022 study in the Journal of the American Society of Nephrology followed adults over 65 with moderate kidney disease who received targeted interventions, dietary changes, medication adjustments, consistent monitoring. Those patients experienced up to a 43% reduction in the rate of kidney decline over 3 years. 43%. In real terms, that is the difference between living independently in your own home and sitting in a dialysis chair 3 days a week. The window is real. It is open, but only if you recognize the signs in time. So let's go through all 3 of them right now. The first indicator is a specific kind of fatigue. And I want you to understand exactly what I mean, because this is not ordinary tiredness. Ordinary tiredness makes sense. You had a full day, you didn't sleep well, you're tired, you rest, you recover. The fatigue I'm describing does not follow that logic. You sleep 8 or 9 hours and wake feeling like you barely slept. Your legs feel heavy just carrying yourself through a normal morning. Your concentration slips. Things that used to feel easy feel like effort. Patients describe it as running on fumes, or like someone turned the volume down on everything. If that sounds familiar, comment yes, right now. Here is what is happening inside your body. Your kidneys produce a hormone, EPO, that signals your bone marrow to keep making red blood cells. Red blood cells carry oxygen to every tissue in your body, your brain, your muscles, your heart. When your kidneys struggle, EPO production drops, fewer red blood cells are made, and your tissues run low on oxygen. You feel it as exhaustion. This develops so gradually that your body partially compensates. You don't collapse, you just quietly become a lower energy version of yourself. You stop gardening as long, you take the elevator, you skip the evening walk, and everyone, including you, says this is just what getting older feels like. I am here to tell you it is not. A 2022 study in the Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology found that in adults over 65 with early kidney disease, fatigue was the primary symptom in 61% of cases, and fewer than 20% of those patients had their kidney function checked when they first reported it to their doctor. This means that unless you specifically ask for kidney testing, it may not happen. You need to be your own advocate. Thomas was 74, a retired electrician from outside Nashville, still did his own home repairs, drove everywhere, kept an immaculate house. About 14 months before he came to see me, his afternoons just disappeared. He'd hit a wall around 1 o'clock and need to lie down. Then twice a day. His doctor added an antidepressant. 6 months passed. When I finally tested his creatinine, a waste product healthy kidneys filter out, his level was 2.6. Normal is below 1.3. His kidneys were functioning at roughly 1/4 capacity. We addressed the anemia, adjusted his medications, modified his diet. 8 weeks later, Thomas called my office to say he'd just finished retiling his bathroom. I thought that old guy was just me now, he told my nurse. Turns out he didn't have to be. Your pro tip for this first indicator, start a simple log today. Note your energy level each morning on a scale of 1 to 10. Do it for 2 weeks. When you see your doctor, bring that log and ask specifically for your creatinine, BUN, and GFR. Those 3 numbers are a direct window into your kidney function. Don't leave that appointment without them. But recognizing that fatigue won't be enough if you're ignoring what your body is showing you on the outside, because the second indicator is something you can actually see. The second indicator is swelling. Persistent, soft, puffy swelling in your ankles, feet, and lower legs that appears on both sides and does not fully disappear by morning. Now I know swelling has many causes: heat, long flights, certain medications. I'm not saying every puffy ankle is kidney disease. What I'm saying is that kidney-related swelling has a specific character. It appears on both sides simultaneously. It's soft and spongy. It worsens through the day. And crucially, you wake up in the morning, swing your legs over the side of the bed, and it is still there. It isn't dramatic. It doesn't send you to the emergency room. It just sits there, quietly, week after week, while people blame the weather or the salt in last night's dinner. Here is the mechanism. Your kidneys regulate your body's fluid and sodium balance. When their filtering units begin to fail, that balance breaks down. Fluid that should be moving through your circulatory system and out through your urine instead leaks into the spaces between your cells and pools in your legs. In severe cases, it presses on your lungs and heart. This is not cosmetic. Unmanaged fluid retention from kidney failure directly strains your cardiovascular system, and it is one of the primary ways kidney disease leads to heart failure in older adults. A 2023 study in Kidney International found that patients over 60 who presented with this ankle swelling at the time of kidney disease diagnosis had a 37% higher rate of rapid progression over the following 2 years. The swelling is not the start of the problem. It is a later signal, which means if you're seeing it, the time to act is now. Dorothy was 69, a retired ER nurse from outside Charlotte. For almost 2 years, she'd noticed puffy ankles by evening. She elevated her legs, cut back on sodium, blamed her blood pressure medication. She was doing all the right things for completely the wrong reason, because she hadn't identified the actual source. It was her cardiologist who ordered a kidney panel almost as a formality, and called her the next day. Her GFR was 41, protein levels significantly elevated. She sat with me a few days later, this experienced, brilliant woman, and said quietly, "I documented edema in patients for 35 years. I charted it, I reported it, I escalated it, and I let mine go for 2 years. I've thought about Dorothy many times since, not as a cautionary tale, but as proof of how convincingly our minds explain away what's happening in our own bodies." Your pro tip for this second indicator is a clinical test you can do right now. Press your thumb firmly into the soft tissue just above your ankle bone and hold it for 5 full seconds. Remove your thumb and observe the indentation. If that pit remains visible for more than a few seconds, filling in slowly, that is called pitting edema, and it is a clinical finding that warrants immediate investigation. Take a photo, show your doctor, and use these words: "I want to rule out a kidney cause." Those specific words direct the conversation. Now we come to the third indicator, and I told you earlier this would be the most surprising one. I've had patients, intelligent, health-conscious people, who had this sign for months and never mentioned it because they thought it was too awkward to bring up. We are adults. We are talking about your life. So let's talk about your urine. The third indicator is a change in your urine, specifically its color, its frequency, and something called persistent foaminess that is new and has been happening for days or weeks. Let me take these one at a time. Color first. Normal urine is pale to medium yellow depending on hydration. If yours has turned significantly darker, deep amber, brownish, or has a pinkish or reddish tint that you cannot explain by something you ate, that needs attention. Dark or reddish urine can mean your kidneys are releasing blood into the urine. And I want to be direct. Blood in your urine, even once, even faint, even if it seemed to go away on its own, should be reported to your doctor. It doesn't always mean something catastrophic, but it always means something. Frequency next. If you are waking 2, 3, 4 times at night to urinate, and this is new or has significantly worsened, kidney dysfunction belongs on the list of explanations. Healthy kidneys reduce urine production at night so your body can rest. When kidney function declines, this nighttime regulation fails, and you wake repeatedly. Most people blame their prostate or their bladder or just aging. Sometimes it is those things, but when it appears alongside the other signs we've discussed, it becomes part of a meaningful pattern. And now the one I want you to remember more than anything else I say today: foam. Persistent foam in your toilet bowl. Not a few bubbles that disappear in a second, but actual white, sudsy foam that lingers 10, 20, 30 seconds after you flush, or is sitting there when you look before you flush. That foam is protein leaking from your bloodstream through damaged kidney filters into your urine. When protein hits water, it foams, exactly like soap, exactly like eggs in a bowl. Your kidneys are showing you, in plain sight, that their filters have developed holes. The medical term is proteinuria, and a 2021 study in the American Journal of Kidney Diseases found that persistent self-reported foamy urine corresponded to clinically significant protein loss in 68% of adults over 60, 68%. And the test to confirm it takes under 5 minutes in any clinic. If you have been seeing foam and haven't mentioned it, comment foam below. That comment is your first step. Robert was 77, a retired aerospace engineer from outside Houston. He had noticed foamy urine for 5 months. He'd researched it once, seen something about protein, and convinced himself it was probably a reaction with his toilet bowl cleaner. His wife mentioned it to my nurse while Robert was still in the waiting room. His 24-hour urine protein came back at 940 milligrams, nearly 3 times the threshold for concern. His GFR was 49. We started him on an ACE inhibitor and made targeted dietary changes. 6 months later, his protein had dropped to 290 milligrams. His GFR had stabilized, not a reversal, but held. And in kidney medicine, holding is everything. Robert shook my hand at his 6-month follow-up and said, "That foam saved my kidneys." I think about that every time I sit down to make one of these videos. Your pro tip for this third indicator is the simplest thing in this entire video, and it costs absolutely nothing. The next time you use the bathroom, today, tonight, tomorrow morning, look before you flush. Note the color. Note whether foam is present and how long it lingers. Do this for 1 week. If you see persistent foam 3 or more times, or any pink or reddish tint, or if you're waking more than twice at night, that note goes to your doctor, and you ask for a urinalysis with microscopy and a urine albumin to creatinine ratio. Write those down. Urinalysis with microscopy, urine albumin to creatinine ratio. Those 2 tests give your doctor a direct picture of what your kidney filters are doing. Before we get to your action plan, if this video has been useful, if you are going to look before you flush tonight, if you are going to press your thumb above your ankle, if you are going to make that call to your doctor, please hit subscribe right now. Every week I bring you honest, clear, medically accurate information designed for adults your age who deserve real answers. Hit that button and let's keep this going. Thank you. Now let's put this all together. The 3 indicators are these. First, persistent, deep fatigue that does not resolve with rest, caused by your kidneys no longer producing enough EPO to keep your red blood cell count adequate. Second, bilateral soft swelling in the ankles, feet, and lower legs that does not fully clear by morning, caused by your kidneys losing control of your body's fluid and sodium balance. Third, changes in your urine including dark or reddish coloring, increased nighttime frequency, and persistent foam, caused by blood or protein escaping through damaged kidney filters. Here is exactly what I want you to do. Tonight, press your thumb above your ankle bone for 5 seconds and observe. Look before you flush and note what you see, and put a reminder in your phone right now for tomorrow morning that says one thing. Call doctor, kidney panel. Set it before this video ends. Tomorrow morning, call your doctor's office and say these words: "I'd like to request a comprehensive metabolic panel with creatinine and GFR, a urinalysis with microscopy, and a urine albumin to creatinine ratio." You do not need to be sick to ask for these. They are standard, they are covered under Medicare wellness visits, and they will give you and your doctor a clear picture of exactly where your kidneys stand. This week, look at your pain reliever habits. Ibuprofen, naproxen, Advil, Aleve, the NSAID family, are directly harmful to kidney tissue, especially with regular use in adults over 60. If you are taking any of these for chronic pain, please discuss alternatives with your doctor. Acetaminophen is significantly gentler on the kidneys, and keep your urine pale yellow through the day. That simple color is your visible indicator that you are hydrated enough to protect your kidney tissue. Comment action plan below if you are committing to these steps. That comment is a promise to yourself. I want to close with one more story. Helen was 72, living outside Denver, Colorado, when a routine blood draw showed an elevated creatinine. She was referred to me, and she cried in the parking lot before coming in. She told me that later. She sat across from me and asked, "What does the rest of my life look like?" And I told her the honest truth. That depends entirely on what we do from this moment forward. Helen did everything. She tracked her symptoms, modified her diet, eliminated the daily ibuprofen she'd been taking for knee pain, and came to every single follow-up. Her GFR was 38 when we met. 2 years later, it had stabilized at 41. Not a dramatic recovery, but held, stable, living independently, traveling, laughing. 3 years after our first appointment, she called my office on a Thursday afternoon to tell me she had just returned from 2 weeks in Portugal with her sister. "My kidneys went with me," she said, laughing, "and they did great." I keep that voicemail. I still listen to it on hard days. You now have what Gerald didn't have in time. What Carol, with 35 years of nursing, didn't know to look for in herself. What Robert almost didn't mention because he thought it was embarrassing. You know the 3 indicators. You know the tests to ask for. You know what to do tonight. Small changes, made consistently, create measurable results. This is in your hands. If this video could help someone you love, a spouse, a sibling, a neighbor, please share it right now. Don't wait. And please bookmark it so you can pull up the action steps before your next appointment. Leave me one of 3 comments. Tired if that first indicator described something you've been living with. Swelling if you recognize the ankle and leg edema. Foam if you've noticed it and haven't yet said a word to your doctor. Every one of those comments tells me someone is paying attention, and paying attention is where everything begins. Thank you for watching all the way through. It means more than you know. Take care of yourself. Take care of your kidneys. This is Dr. Anderson, and I'll see you in the next video.